Hey there, students. Today, I'm going to break down some key concepts in production for Class 11. So, let's dive right in. First up, we have the concept of this is basically the relationship between the inputs used in production and the output generated. Think of it like baking a cake. The flour, sugar, and eggs are your inputs, and the delicious cake is your output. Simple, right? Within the production function, we talk about in the short run, at least one factor of production is fixed. For instance, you might have a limited number of ovens to bake your cake. But in the long run, all factors can be varied. You can buy more ovens, hire more bakers, and expand your bakery. Next, let's move on to. This law states that as you add more of one input while keeping others constant, the additional output will eventually decrease. Imagine adding more and more sugar to your cake mix. At some point, it's not going to make the cake any sweeter, just a sugary mess. Now let's talk about. This occurs when increasing production leads to lower costs per unit. Think of it like buying ingredients in bulk. The more flour you buy, the cheaper it gets per kilogram. But watch out for, which is when producing more actually increases the per unit cost. Too many cooks in the kitchen can spoil the broth after all. Then we have isoquants are curves that represent all the combinations of inputs that produce the same level of output. Imagine a map with different routes leading to the same destination. Isocosts are lines that represent all the combinations of inputs that cost the same. So, your budget constraints, basically. The optimal production point is where an isoquant and an isocost line intersect. Finally, let's touch on. This refers to how changing the scale of production affects output. There are increasing returns to scale, where output increases more than the proportional change in inputs. Constant returns to scale, where output increases in the same proportion as inputs. And decreasing returns to scale, where output increases less than the proportionate change in inputs. And that's a wrap on the key concepts in production for Class 11. Remember to review your notes, practice problems, and don't be afraid to ask questions if something isn't clear. Keep learning and stay curious. See you next time.